UI and sound effect, that's what you see in the movie. But what we're actually doing here, we are learning, we're talking about artificial narrow intelligence. Alright, so today we're going to talk about learn AI before AI replaces you. Okay, so a quick warning here. This is not the technical talk about deep learning or AI framework, AI or deep learning framework like TensorFlow, those stuff. So yeah, you can ask me questions related to those things, but I wouldn't deep dive into how to set up or configure PyTorch or Keras or TensorFlow sort of things. How many of you here are actually developer? I just want to get the context right. So most of you are developers. Are you trying to get into AI, or you are already doing something AI related? Let's say, how many of you are already doing AI related stuff? You are already AI engineers, okay? That's good. So most of you are here trying to know more about, I think the context here is everybody has heard a lot of AI, machine learning, deep learning, right? But we didn't really see the actual application on AI around us, but most of them you have heard is that driverless car, you see things on the newspaper, on the media most of the time, okay? So my job here today is to try to give you a brief overview about AI and also what is happening here, okay? So I prefer this to be an interactive session, so I keep like 15-20 minutes for Q&A. So any questions, if you need me to clarify, feel free to stop me in the middle of the presentation, okay? So the agenda here is, what is AI? What are the current challenges faced by enterprise and individuals when we are embracing AI? And also, I think most of you care, right? How do you get started? How do we move on as an individual, as our career? So you are currently a data scientist, you're becoming an AI engineers or machine learning engineers. All right, a bit of background about myself. So my background is chief data scientist, so we do help corporates to build things like data lake. My company is pretty much agnostic and also open source. We love things like Python, R, and at Azure or GCP or let's say AWS, it's basically just a platform that we choose. So we can host our software basically everywhere. And then what we do is that we help companies to implement different types of data analytics application. So a bit of spoiler teaser here is that they are not as AI as you thought, nowhere near there. I'm a state advisor for Johor and Selangor in smart city and data automation. So some of you have read the news lately about we getting Alibaba solutions about smart city, the Brain City project. And then I've conducted in-house training and founding director for Magic Academy. So most of you heard of Magic through that's in Cyberjaya, okay, startup accelerator. And I have 20 years in software web development. I run my own startup. Before that, I worked in Microsoft E-Research Center and HRDF certified trainer and MQA expert panelist to certified university programs. So whatever you have seen, like let's say a bachelor degree or master degree of data science, right, usually is endorsed by myself. Now this is a bit of the more interesting one. We got a good balance between boys and girls here, right? So HeroBoyfriend is if you were to raise fund, this is an AI chatbot project. Okay, 2-3 years ago, this project is very, very popular. Let me ask the ladies, what's your number one complaint when it comes to your boyfriend? Usually, right? Okay, not romantic enough. Forget all the important days, and then did not buy me the flowers or the presents that I go. So even in Australia, have similar problems too. Okay, Masale, Guailos, they are more boring than us, Yeah, weekends, they don't know what to do. Friday night, they bought pizzas and beers, stay at home. Back then, we don't have Netflix also, yeah? So this app tried to ask them a lot of questions because based on the study, 60% of the people, they are more honest when they talk to a chatbot. So we ask them questions like, okay, what your girlfriend likes to do? Do they go yoga? Do they go hiking? So based on that, we recommend different types of activities to do. And then we use, this is a B2C model. So we make money based on the boyfriend laziness. Okay, this is my pitch, okay, my elevator pitch. 4 weeks ago, before the anniversary, we remind you, do you want to buy a chocolate for your girlfriend? Snooze, okay, ignore, ignore. Okay, 2 weeks before, do you want to buy chocolates for your girlfriend? Never mind, okay. You want to take your wife for a movie this weekend for the latest Avengers? And it's okay, then never mind. 3 days before, the price went up by 50%. On the day itself, today is your wife's birthday, you want a chocolate to be sent? Okay, sure, extra 100% charges. That's how we make money. That is how we make money. We make money based on your urgency, okay? So this is a bit of background how some of the AI projects that I have done in the past, and then we use NLP, natural language processing, Q&A method. So it's a lot of cool elements inside. And so what is AI? Okay, society thinks that we do this. It's good timing, right? Avengers Endgame. This is what my friend thinks I do. Okay, every time I tell people, say, oh yeah, you're AI engineer. Wow, Dr. Lau making a lot of money. Same person anyway. What my mom thinks I do. Okay, my mom thinks that I always hide in the room. I hardly go out of my house whenever I'm doing programming. Mathematicians think that we are stupid. Every time when you speak to mathematicians, come on, AI is just linear regressions. Tell them, they say, logistic regressions. Okay, so mathematicians see us that way. Of course, we think we are cool. Yeah, we think that we are cool. We are professor level or doctor level. So whatever we say is correct. And then lastly, what we actually do is like this. This is the current state of the art of AI. Now, I want you to remember this picture, okay? I will come back to the last one, okay, later on, yeah? I will come back to the last one later on. So a bit of fun. Now comes to the boring part. On textbook, AI means that you're trying to build a robot that works like a human being. Now the reason for this slides is to demystify a lot of things that you think that, oh, AI is very hard. The key takeaway that I want you to have is when you walk out of this room, you can debate with people that what is AI, okay, based on what you have learned here. Now it means that the robot can learn and make mistakes. A lot of people think that AI is always right. Now the key here is AI wants you to make mistakes. Okay, if you train an AI model, make sure that the AI model can make mistakes and compensating for the mistake to gain an experience that leads to learning. Keyword here is learning. AI is also a science and an approach of developing technology in the fields such as image processing, signal processing, natural language processing. For example, you use Siri. From an engineering point of view, Siri is to take your voice to convert into some signals that we can use computers to process. But from a data science and AI perspective, those signals that we process, we can turn voice into text, right? We still need to use natural language processing to turn those texts into actions and commands that we can ask the computers or the machine to do. So generally speaking, ML, machine learning, is a subset of our AI. So this is AI. A lot of people think when we are doing AI, the movie tells you the otherwise, right? Movie tells you that you are doing the AGI. But what we are doing actually is we are doing the ANI, Artificial Narrow Intelligence. So this is what we call the weak AI, meaning that they are only focused in doing one thing. But AGI is the movie tells you that, okay, you put it, whatever you see in the movies are basically UI. There's not AI, okay? It's just that you click this button, or those things like UI and sound effect. That's what you see in the movie. But what we're actually doing here, is we are learning, we're talking about artificial narrow intelligence. Very weak AI, like AlphaGo. You can only tell AlphaGo to play Go with you. You ask AlphaGo to play Chinese chess, cannot. Driverless car, Siri, all the same thing. Yeah. So every time when we talk about AI, right, you will definitely hear people say machine learning. So before you came to this talk, all right, the people outside, they will use words like AI and machine learning interchangeably. But you need to understand, algorithms that can learn are called learning algorithms, and a set of those algorithms together are called machine learning. Okay, makes sense, yeah? And a lot of machine learning, I can safely say that it's 80-90% of them, mathematically, they are based on statistical model. Statistical model that you have learned in the past in your high school, middle school is based on sampling, because back then we don't have access to that amount of data, so we can only base on sampling. I look at 10 people, 5 people of them behave this way, 3 people of them behave this way. We can use this sampling to generalize as much as we can, but once we have computers, then we can use the computers and large amount of data to help us to train and learn from there. So this is the fundamental difference. Now this is a diagram of machine learning that you can have a look. A lot of time when we talk about machine learning, we're talking about the classical learning method, meaning that they are mainly from mathematics. So pattern search, supervised, unsupervised learning. If you need to do something that has a label, it's called classification. If you want to learn something that has unsupervised, there's no label, it's called clustering. Then you have different types of mathematical based method. That's more for classical learning. So if you are coming from a data mining background, this is where you usually will end up. Now when we have a lot more data that our classical methods cannot basically perform the performance stagnant already. So we have different types of method. Reinforcement learning, so genetic algorithm, DQN, we teach the machine and we want the machine to learn on its own. This is what we call the reinforcing method. Or we can combine a couple of methods together and then to find out whether the performance is better or not. So we have very famous boosting method like AdaBoost, XGBoost, or random forest, that sort of methods. And this is the part where it receives a lot of attention nowadays. Okay, neural networks and deep learning. So this gives you the broad overview of the stuff that you need to know. You don't have to learn every single thing, but you need to know how to apply them. Okay? The keyword here is for you to learn how to apply. And what about deep learning? Deep learning is just a subset of machine learning that solves the problem by using neural networks. I think that answers your question. You look at the x-axis is the amount of data and the performance of our algorithms, right? Traditional learning algorithms that can only give you this much of the performance. So when you want to go beyond that, you have the very traditional neural network, the simple ANN, and then you have other types of larger network and medium neural network. So the two things here is driving our AI application is number one, a lot more data. It's very simple. Yeah, it's nothing too fancy, nothing beyond human comprehension. Is a lot more data, because last time you used to have only numbers. You don't have text. You don't have photos of your lunch. You don't have photos of your babies. You don't have your social media check-in data. You don't have Facebook data. So nowadays with that, you have a lot more data. So the traditional model cannot handle them anymore. And second thing is you have a lot more powerful computers with, I'm at Microsoft, I have to say, with Azure machine learning model, with data lake. So you have a lot more powerful cloud computing. That's the two reasons that drive the scale of deep learning, nothing else. Yeah. So in a nutshell, AI versus machine learning. This chart is very important, okay? When you are raising fund, please tell people that you are building an AI project. Okay? No other stuff, okay? Don't tell them. Now, if you are trying to hire an engineer later on over here, don't tell them you are doing AI. They'll say, come on, there's no AI here. AI is just if-else statement. You have to tell them we are working on a very exciting machine learning projects. But when you are actually implementing them, those of you who have tried PyTorch, Keras, or TensorFlow, we're actually writing regressions. But the last one is the most important one. Whenever you're debugging, you don't need any breakpoint or IDE. You just need print. Or better still, console log, right? I didn't say that, yeah? So I'm quoting this guy, in our opinion, AI is basically just an application of machine learning, right? So that goes back to the question earlier. If you have personal information last time, so we want to use it for credit card application, so you have to check whether it's approved or not. Nowadays, they still use the same model. Come on, give me your 3 months payslip, I look at your EPF. But there's a lot more factors that can be used to decide whether this person is a good person to increase their credit, or he will have the chance of becoming a defaulter or not. And then advertisement plus your login, you use this every day, right? Okay, we want to predict whether you click a particular advertisement or not. A/B test. And your faces. China has this attendance taking system in the class that they look at your face. If I were to install this camera here and then take a picture of all of you, then some topics when I say, okay, your face look very grumpy, then I can speak faster. I can go next slide. Yeah, but if you look engaged and then you are smiling all the time, then I can speak a bit longer. Now, voice and text combined, we got Siri and Google Home. So the key here, allow me to talk a bit technical stuff. You have input, so we go through a process called features engineering, and then we feed them into our neural network or machine learning models, and then we use it for our AI applications. Whichever machine learning model that you are choosing, depending on your use case. So current challenges in AI that we are facing here, I'm combining the issues more from my personal experience from a macro level and also our local level. Number one, insufficient data. Surprising, right? The data here I'm referring to is insufficient quality data. You are collecting data, okay? I'm collecting, your attendance, how long you have spent here, etc., etc. But these data, they are not labeled. They are basically just logging data, or what we call the transactional data. You're basically just sucking in data as a data feed. Everybody is collecting data. Even you go to Facebook, Google, you ask them the same question, they'll say, no, we don't have enough data because we don't have enough labeled data that has high quality. Okay, so in machine learning or AI application, it requires a lot of training data. You can get a driverless car to go on the road for X hours. Okay, the car can go for X number of hours, 100 hours, 1,000 hours. But whether it's doing the right thing or not, it requires human verification. Now, second thing, misalign expectations. A lot of people, they think that, remember the 6 things that I show you, right? When you talk to bosses, okay, they will think that, oh, CIO especially, CIO, CTO, CDO, they go for those digital transformation exercise. They think that, well, this is going to be something huge. Data science only does 2 things. Number 1, make more money. Number 2, cut more costs. There's this misaligned expectation that you spend hundreds, thousands, or $1 million, 2 millions into an AI solution, you will immediately or change your business overnight. Number 3, non-production ready. Okay, most of you here, I think you understand what I'm talking about. Many times, a lot of people, they take a sample code, the toy code from Azure. You go to Azure, you have a lot of exercises, sample code, Iris dataset. Yeah, all of you must have used that before. If not, the Titanic dataset, the infamous Titanic dataset. And then they use that when you load real data, it's actually a lot more complicated. Now you have to be able to understand the difference between complicated and complex. Yeah, everybody knows what's the difference between complicated and complex? You want to try to maybe I'll give a okay. If you can answer complicated versus complex correctly, I'll give you a small gift here. Anyone want to attempt? Okay, AI falls under the category of complex. Yeah, complex means that it has a lot of components. A car is complex, but it's not complicated. One person can drive a car from JB to Penang, no problem at all. It has steering wheels, it has tires, it has engines. Okay, that's very complex. It's a very complex mechanism and machinery, but it's very easy to use, right? It's not complicated. Now, what is complicated? Relationship. Yeah. You and your partner, 2 person. 2 person in the world. Yeah. Okay, that's the difference between complex and complexity and complication. Okay, this is something that I want you to remember. So a lot of the sample code that you see out there, they are complex. Yeah, but when it comes to real world application, it's a lot more complicated than what you see. And then lastly, you're unable to handle context very well. Okay? This is a problem with AI applications. So when this is to look at the error, and then this is to look at the accuracy, right? When we are at this stage, it's purely reactive. Yeah, when we are at our learning stage, it's something happens and then you react in a certain way. So as time goes by, we have more and more data. This is where a lot of you have seen the Gartner chart. We have used it until too many times already. So you look at this one to give you a better understanding. So with more data, a lot of time we assume last year or last month demand value will occur again this month. So this is basically based on evidence-based guess. A good guess will be here, right? 60-40%. Now as time goes by, 50-50, a lot of people, they in the corporate especially, right? Monday morning, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., copy and paste in Excel. Often done in Excel. So incorporate seasonality, trend data, and MA, moving average. And also we fit a forecast curve through historical and demanding quantity. So this is more of the data analyst / business analyst job. Or if there's any Power BI users, most of you are somewhere around here, right? And once we go beyond that, this is where we came in. Data scientists came in. Because handling more than 100,000 rows is a nightmare in Excel. You double click the file, it takes forever to open, and you don't know whether you'll perform or not. Hierarchy and causal effects are incorporated into the forecast and statistically predicts monthly or weekly demand pattern. And once you got data scientists, all right, this is somewhere we are moving here. From here to here is we are including different techniques. Let's say you use Python or you use R to build models that leverage more granular and downstream data to get a cleaner demand signal and reduce volatility. But this one is we want to address the short-term demand and also the long-term accuracy. You want it to be able to perform consistently across a longer period of time, and then we try to reduce the amount of error. Right? This is purely reactive. Yeah. And that's our ultimate goal. 10% of error and relies on powerful models and demand drivers. Okay. So any data science project, yeah, AI projects is a lot on the optimizations. So before we go into QA, we still got a bit of time. Yeah. How do you get started? Number one, don't learn AI first. You come here to, I'm telling you to learn AI, right? But the first thing first is you don't learn about AI. I want you to learn about data science and machine learning first. Actually, that's my key point. About 40% of the European countries, European AI companies, when they claim that they have AI, they don't use any AI at all. I can take a wild guess that in Malaysia, the number is going to be much higher. And I can give you some insider news is that 80% of them are using if-else statements. Rule-based, okay? It's not even decision tree, it's just rule-based if-else statement. So how do you run an AI project? Some of you were my students before, attended my talk before. I've been talking about this many, many times. No matter what, follow this framework. You won't get wrong if you follow this awesome framework. First thing, you start with obtaining data, all right? Gather data from relevant sources. You get the important data that you need. Then you clean the data. A lot of time we spend our data scientists spend our time in cleaning data, to clean data to machine readable format. And from there, we use exploratory data analysis to find significant patterns and trends. So the first three part takes up a lot of our time, 70 to 80% of our time. Then when it comes to modeling part actually is relatively easier compared to the first three things. Okay. If you are in corporates, right, especially larger corporations, getting data is a very painful process. You need to get around all the red tapes, you need to get the approvers, people to sign your papers. Now, cleaning data to machine learning readable format is when you have a lot of legacy data, you need to guess what are the column names. Okay, what do they mean? Then you use visualization or different type of methods to do the exploratory data analysis. Then lastly, you are allowed to explain to model and results. And most of the time, you don't explain them to your peers. You explain them to stakeholders. And that makes it hard because your bosses are non-technical person. You cannot just show your boss a decision tree and then expect your boss to understand, right? So that's a skill by itself. So this is something that I talked about 2 days ago. BFM interviewed me about my views on Alibaba Clouds and Malaysia City Brains project. So you can look at you can listen to the podcast here. But the key thing that I'm talking about here is that they asked about my opinion in terms of Waze, right? Waze is actually a smarter version of GPS that tells you the best way to get to the place. So something that tells you the best way to get to a place is the GPS job. But what Waze does better is that it helps us to ease the traffic by optimizing the number of cars across all the possible routes. Now, this is something that you should be looking for an AI project as well. Waze is not just collecting your data, but it's trying to help us to distribute the number of cars across different routes. We do not have a single route to go from point A to point B, right? We have multiple routes. But if everybody follows GPS, that particular route will be very congested. Okay, so that's what I meant here. So number two, don't worry, you will be replaced. Many of you start to worry. I got this in my inbox every day. Dr. La, when will I be replaced? What sort of job will be replaced first? So this is what is going to happen to you, some of you, if not. So a lot of time, when we look at AI projects, we're worried because you see, right? 50 years ago, you have tellers sitting at the bank, count the money for you. But 50 years later, nowadays, we don't have it anymore, right? All we have is ATM machine. And then soon we will demolish all the ATM machines because we have all the online transactions and cashless payment. I want you to look at this again, right? Just a lot of people laugh at this particular chart, right? So this is the hackathon that I judged at last week or 2 weeks ago. This is what AI has, the smartness of AI has gone. By doing a simple drawing like that, it's able to guess it's a cat with 98% accuracy. Okay? So this is how good the AI is now at recognizing drawings. You're laughing at what does that mean? You're laughing at I didn't draw this, by the way. It's one of the okay, don't laugh at the drawing. Correct. So this is one of the hackathon projects. They are trying to teach the kids to draw, and then they can learn from there.
What if I draw the cats looking sideways?
So that's the classic question about the orientation and stuff, right? Yeah, we didn't try that, but this is just a demo. So it's able to detect cat, rabbits, fish, pandas, and camel. But again, on that question, right? If you ask a kid to draw a cat and then the kids draw the cat terbalik, that's another issue already. It's about It's not just AI problem. That's more of a psychological problem. Betul lah. Alright. Yeah. My parents used to teach a lot of kids in arithmetic. Yeah. So there's these kids that always have problem. You ask any kids one, they will show you this. But that kid, you ask them one, they will show you the other finger. So yeah, it's not about AI already. But that's a good question. Yeah, it's an orientation issue. So this is another one, smart bin. So image recognition. So again, it's very narrow. Yeah, ANI, like I said, very narrow. It can only recognize things like cardboard, plastic, glasses. But it's good enough. It's good enough as a start. Yeah. At the time when they are presenting, also a lot of judges and the audience they laugh at it. But all the futuristic technology all looks very silly at the very beginning. I wouldn't say stupid, but it's very silly because you don't really understand it. So this is one of the projects that I like it very much as well. So to give you some insights, there are two types of things that AI does it super well. Either they are super easy or they are super hard. So things that are very easy, you can Google about this one. Easy as in something that it takes a human 1 to 2 seconds to do, right? Like Andrew said, anything that takes a human 1 to 2 seconds to achieve, you can easily teach an AI to do that. Now this blog is to tell you that how I build a machine learning and CV model using chicken rice. This is a training set. This is a training set that we use. Yeah. So as a human, it's not hard to tell, right? Which one is roasted chicken, which one is steamed chicken. So the accuracy of that model is around 96, 97%. That's pretty accurate. So something that's very easy for humans to do within 1 to 2 seconds, then yeah, you can do it. Of course, in real world, you wouldn't ask it to identify, roasted chicken or steamed chicken. You probably ask it to identify like whether there's a defect or not. In inspecting, there's a crack or something. Okay. Now on the things that is super hard, right? These are the things. I'm very interested in things like legal, healthcare, patient history. Yeah. As a human, how long it takes you to tell the difference between these two documents? That's a wild guess. Yeah. It probably takes a lawyer about, I would say, a good half to an hour, okay, just to carefully read through these two documents and tell you semantically and what's wrong with the context within these two documents. But don't forget, they have to study for 4 years and then 3 years of practice before they get to do that within 30 minutes to 1 hour. And what AI cannot do is something that has to do with context, feelings. Okay, you can keep asking Siri the same question. Siri wouldn't get mad at you, right? Siri wouldn't get angry. That is where LTSM and also the RNN comes in, and also reinforcement learning and different types of neural network. So on the topic that whether you'll be replaced or not, right? You can every time when you start to doubt your future career, whether you'll be replaced, take a look at this picture. Take a look at this picture. These are the things that AI cannot do well. Google Translate. Yeah, not Bing Translate. For our non-Malaysian audience here, penjual gadis means you are a person who sells girls. Yeah. So these are the things that AI can't do well. Every time when you are depressed, right, you're feeling like your career is not doing so well, Monday blue, just take a look at this picture. So lastly, my last advice, this is a summary from my many years working in data mining project, and for the past few years I've been working in Malaysian companies trying to implement AI or even data analytics solution, is that start small, think big. So this is Deloitte, a survey that was done by Deloitte 2017. The challenges of AI. In 2017, they think that it's hard to integrate cognitive project with existing processes of system. So a lot of the corporates, they are still having issues to simplifying their workflow. It's actually got nothing to do with the actual data or the actual machine learning itself. Now, talent is always an issue. Technologies are immature. This part is a bit arguable and debatable. I don't think the technologies are immature, but they are not so popular yet. Just like blockchain, right? A lot of people are talking about the good things about blockchain. That's what you read on the media. The main reason why blockchains are not taking off is because the mass, right? The large amount of the public, they still do not know how to use it. Okay, so technology has been oversold in the marketplace. This is not really the case. Yeah, Some of you have read the articles. Accenture was sued by Hertz, 32 million for building a website. So definitely not technologies has been oversold. Anything can be oversold. Managers don't understand cognitive technologies, how they work, and then technologies and expertise are too expensive. So these are some of the major obstacles. For you as an individual who are trying to go into AI, right, you can tackle a few of the options here. Microsoft has been making a lot of shift, right, especially paradigm shift in terms of their direction when Satya came on board, is that they start to embrace a lot of open source technology. And many people also didn't understand is that you are paying for tools. I don't have to pay for C#. I don't have to pay for ASP.NET, but you have to pay for the license of Visual Studio.NET. Right? You are paying for the tools. So if you can come up with a ways that you can make these technologies available for a lot of people to use at a reasonable price, then you are making progress here. So let's look at 2019, what the consulting firm has to say. Right? Building an AI-ready workforce, develop workforce plan that identifies new skills and roles needed as a result of AI. But the key here is that they need to expand AI talent pipeline with internship, colleges, and university partnerships. This has to do with the fundamental education system, is that we are not teaching enough on the data science and the coding and the programming part. Yeah, but every time when we make some changes there, it takes about 3 to 4 years just to see some results. And then lastly is the data priority for 2019. So if you are working in a corporate, you are in the management role, then you can look at this one as well. The hardest part is still, right, integrating AI and analytics systems. So from the past survey, you can see that this part has been more consistent, and also integrating census data so that it can be used by the AI systems. And this one is more of a culture issue. Yeah, regulatory requirements, and this is why startups run faster than a lot of corporates, and identifying, aggregating data from across the organization. But this part is also interesting, right? Standardizing, integrating, and labeling data. This is how you get high quality data and clean data. So my closing remark will be, every company is a data company eventually. Yeah, you like it or not, you look at Airbnb, Uber, Grab, eBay, Lazada, Taobao. Even your matchmaking process is automated by Tinder nowadays, right? Happy to take some question and answers. Yeah, just nice. We got 10 minutes.
What are the employment trends in AI at the moment?
Okay, employment trends in AI. Can you be more specific? You're more interested from the employer point of view, or
from both sides?
Both sides. Okay. So let me give you some context in terms of the employer side, right? SME, they'll never think of that. Data scientist is just too expensive for them. They can only dream about it. They'll say, okay, it'd be nice if I have a data scientist in my team. I can do this, and that. But the reality is that even though they hire a data scientist, right, it's very dangerous for any single one of us here to join a company without knowing what they want to do. A lot of SMEs are like that. They think that it's good to have a data scientist, and then they hire a data scientist, but end up the data scientist is doing web development job. You are a data scientist, right? Good. Go implement Google Analytics. Okay? And then generate reports, and more like a data analyst job. Yeah. So they did not see the long-term game or the end game of the data science or AI. Okay, in terms of employability. Now, large companies, they do hire a lot of data scientists. They grow their data science team, right? You can see that in a lot of the large companies or PLC companies, but they use that for very specific, very specific use case. So in telcos, they probably use it to look at things like the churn rate a little bit, but even though they can build very successful, very good models, to take those models into production is a totally different game. Yeah, I can build a very good model that recommend them to prevent their customer from churning. But in order for that to happen, they need to work with the marketing team, they need to work at the sales team, a lot of components inside. Yeah. So back to your question about employability is that if you want to get a job in data science, you can go larger companies or newer startups. Yeah, funded startup, I personally think that that's a sweet spot. They give you enough freedom and also remunerations.
So in Malaysia at the moment, there's a huge skills shortage in the whole.
Yeah, always. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? Skilled employee, let's say, right? Somebody who is skilled in a particular skill, let's say repairing cars or plumber or carpenter even. This sort of talent is always in shortage. So even a good chef, you want to find nice food in KL, it's hard. So back into the part where IT, a lot of people think that it somehow feels like it's very hard to hire IT people who are talented and skilled, is because the entry level of IT is too high. You always want to hire somebody who is graduated from computer science, computer engineering, IT degree, then only they get the opportunity to enter the industry to become senior in 5 years. And these people, they spend a good number of years in university before they can enter the workforce. But our industry, unfortunately or fortunately, is a very fast turning industry. Okay, it's not like lawyer, it's not like legal, it's not like healthcare, it's not like accounting that things have not changed in the past 5-10 years or even 10-20 years. Our industry get a refresh every 3 to 5 years. So you see what I'm trying to tell you here? So that makes the problem even worse. Let's talk about web development, right? Even if today, first year you enter university, they teach you, let's say, AngularJS, they teach you Vue.js or React, right? We cannot guarantee that the version that you learn after 4 years when you have graduated are still valid. Most likely it's not valid, especially if you're an AngularJS user. Yeah, so that's the situation here.
And you're saying that you review the curriculum of the data science programs at
Correct.
various universities. So you would say they're sort of future-proof, like it will still be valid in a few years' time.
So here's the thing, right? I always ask them to go for the fundamental stuff, meaning that more mathematics, more computer science, data structure, big O notation, sorting algorithms, rather than teach them very IT specific skills. Yeah, they always come in like, okay, let's partner with SAP, okay, or let's partner with SAS, learn Enterprise Minor 9. But when they have graduated, the things have changed. So a lot of the universities, they are focused on the tools itself. Okay, I'm not saying they always pursue the shiny tools, but they focus too much on the tools rather than the fundamental of how to use the tools. Now this is okay. Okay, this is okay because today, right, a lot of us don't know where does water come from. You know that you turn on the tap, water comes. You know that if the water does not come, where to go and complain and stuff. Hopefully, one day the infrastructure will be ready for us to not have to worry about where data comes from, where do we get clean data. We don't have to worry about where can we get clean water anymore, right? We worry about how can we get clean data. The reason why we don't have clean data because the infrastructure is not ready. The data that we collected are dirty by nature and we don't have a process and workflow for that to be cleaned up, right? So in the near future, let's say 5-10 years time, there are definitely companies, government initiatives to support that. You will get clean data, okay? Open government access, open government data access. You open the tab, you connect to the API, you get clean data. That is the future. Before that happens, I will still want the university to focus about how do we build more engineers who knows how to clean the data. Yeah, that's my point.
Another question, a lot of countries like the US and China, they've got an AI policy, national policy.
Yeah.
In Malaysia, what's happening?
So in July, MDEC is going to release our national AI framework as well. We're working on it. 2015, we released a version of national BDA framework. I was part of the workforce as well. So just stay tuned. MDEC will release the news very, very soon. Any others? Yes. Yes, correct. So AI is more on the application level. Once you can crack the machine learning problem, using AI is more on the application side. There's no such tool that can turn your whatever into an AI. Let's say I want to turn this air conditioner into an AI air conditioner, but it's a machine learning process that learn, number one, how many people in the room, okay, what are the optimum temperature for everybody, where should the wind blows, etc. I still have a strong belief that at any point of time, the development of hardware will be much faster than the development of the software. Take Windows as an example, okay? Most of you here use Windows. The registry problem and the defect problem has never been solved by Microsoft. Okay? But who saved Microsoft life? SSD. Right? With SSD, your computer sort of, you won't have the problem anymore that you run for 3-4 months. Suddenly, the computer becomes very slow. Like those who are using Android phone, also the same problem. After that, you have much faster processor, then the problem sort of like go away. Yeah, that's an engineering issue lah. Okay.
Do we recommend that Microsoft Professional Programming should be useful?
Which one? The online course?
Yes, Microsoft Professional Programming.
Yeah. So all the MOOC, right, and the online courses is good to a certain extent because it gives you the awareness and the necessary background knowledge that you need to have. The problem now we have is that there are too many online courses out there, so you need to know which one is the right one to choose, right? And that's why a lot of them, they allow you to audit the courses as well. I think it's a good program, but you still need to take time to practice what you have learned and then what you need to do with the future. Yeah. Come, I'll give you something special. Thank you for the questions. Any others? It's okay. Yeah.
Can you clarify more about the difference between data science and machine learning and then their respective jobs?
Okay, so the question is data science, machine learning engineers, and their job scope. Now, data scientist is somebody like myself you are seeing here, okay? We walk through the entire awesome framework. We focus a lot on the gathering data, cleaning data, exploring data. So we really need to understand the data very well. But also because if you are a chief data scientist, you're C-level, right? You always have to, let's say, join a meeting with the C-level, so you're involved in the business process. Machine learning engineers, on the other hand, is very engineer-driven. Okay, you need to know a lot on the algorithms. You need to be very good at mathematics, calculus. I'm not good at mathematics. Okay, I learned mathematics after I took my PhD and after I become a data scientist, because the job requires us to be good at that, so that you know how to explain the model. So if you're more engineer type of people rather than a well balance between business and then programming skills and mathematics, then you can go for the machine learning engineer route. Yeah, but in Malaysia, there are very little companies that are specifically hiring machine learning. You can look at the job description of large companies, right, of what they are hiring, and also large startups like Grab or Faith, and you can tell, yeah, the sentiment of the market straight away. Okay, so deep learning is a subset of machine learning. If you remember the chart that I showed you earlier. So all of them are machine learning, right? It's just a machine learning, deep learning, and different types of neural network. So deep learning in particular, we are trying to use neural network to solve problem. The problem that we are tackling is pretty much the same, but we want to have much better performance. So let's say if we use a traditional learning algorithm, the performance is about 70-75%, and you want to get some breakthrough, okay, you need a lot more different types of data and more powerful computers so that you can get to the next level of machine learning, which is deep learning using neural network. That's more in the very narrow context that we're talking about here. For the benefits of this talk, right, security issue or ethical issue of AI is that AI can only be delivering its promise on AI is when everybody is using AI. I use legal as an example, right? Are we allowed to have, let's say, AI lawyers or AI judges nowadays? Definitely can, because a lot of the cases that the local magistrate are handling very small things. So those are very trivial and minor stuff that we can outsource the job to AI, not a problem. The problem is that not everybody is following the same process. Same thing for driverless car. You are worrying that you might not over somebody's or someone else's car, or when accident happens, is that you have a mixture between driverless car and driver car. So somebody are driving and then somebody is not following the rules. So if everybody is using a driverless car, then there's no such problem. Right? Because everybody is following the same rules, the same framework. And of course, within the same thing, right? I love to play a lot of simulation games when I was younger. So for example, you can play The Sims. Okay, I used to build a swimming pool for my Sims and then I took out the stairs. And then my Sim would just swim. That's the ethical challenge here. Okay, so there are definitely people trying to use different sort of technologies to do bad things. I think that part is certainly unavoidable. But if everybody is using AI within the regulation and the framework, I think that problem can be significantly reduced. Yeah. Last question.
Yeah, so you're saying that there's a lot of MOOC online courses.
Yeah.
So what kind of steps can you suggest for people like aspiring data scientists to close the gap between those that are doing a lot of MOOC and
okay.
Get the job?
So first question, right? What are the challenges that you face when you try to learn from MOOC? Real world data, right? So you go to correct. So you go to kaggle.com, you can see that a lot of data sets there with people who are working on the actual data, you learn from their train of thoughts. You don't just learn the skill set. A lot of the MOOC, they can, if we use our current education system, at most they're primary school level, they give you the awareness, they give you the understanding, eye-opening, but you still need to have the actual working experience. But the good thing about data science is that you can download some real data, pick something that you are passionate about. Okay, don't listen to too much Gary Vee's talk about passion, hustling. Don't do that. If you want to become a data scientist, don't do that. Something that's passion is like you can regularly get small wins. Like you work on the data set, you try this model, hey, it works. Okay, you continue and build your knowledge on top of that. I think that would be good. And then second thing is that the bad things about MOOCs is it allows you to jump from one to another, and then you jump different topics, right? That's the reason why you cannot grab the knowledge. So I would recommend you to find an old textbook, okay, that talks about the things that you want, let's say AI or machine learning, data mining, and then you read through the entire book so that you have a systematic understanding about how things are built on top of each other. Yeah, we do not arrive at AI overnight. Right, it's a long way from Alan Turing to data mining to mathematics to a lot of things. Andrew Ng to all of us here, we're all making significant little bit of contributions to do our part to push this thing forward. Yeah, so read a book rather than just go through every single MOOC. I think that'll be better. Yeah, but if you need specific advice, just tweet me. I can give you more specific related to your career path or specific skills and use case that you want to address. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having me here. Yeah. So anything you need, you feel free to contact me, and then you can scan it to download the slides. Thank you.